All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Bracha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And, I'm sure by now, brothers and sisters have already been aware of the latest news that we found out. But, based on this video that I was watching, this is like the first video I saw on it, pretty much with this incident of adultery, being committed in the IUIC. And I mean, the first thing is, you really, this is a case of adultery that they got caught. Let's put it like that, right? Because, it's one thing when you hear it being said by brothers or elders, saying, there's a lot of adultery going on or X, Y, and Z. Like, you hear it and it's one thing, but when you actually witness it, then it's another thing. And it's more dire, it's more severe, knowing the consequence, right? Because the scriptures tell you that he that knew to do good and did it not, right, or knew his master's will and did it not, shall be beaten with many stripes, right? So there's pretty much no excuse for that. But I have a couple of precepts here that I want to go through, and Lord willing, this lesson be edifying to the elect, because there are times when the Lord has these things happen to bring out an example. Okay, when you read the scriptures and you read about the wickedness of our people, the things that they did, it's not just words on the paper. These are things that actually happened. And when you watch the video, for those that haven't seen it, I implore you to go and watch it, and you'll hear just how disturbing this situation is, especially knowing very well, what the situation is, right? Knowing that this is another man's woman, and the woman knowing that she already has a husband, and yet the exchanging of such communication, and it's just, anyway, you can only imagine what Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is going to do when that judgment comes to pass. Because whenever situations like this happen, something to always keep in mind is this is really just one of an innumerable instances of this happening that we just happen to see, or that the Lord just happened to put live on display. But imagine from the perspective of the Heavenly Father. We saw this because we found out about it, right? It was put out. But what about all the other cases that the Lord sees, be it in Israel? And when I say that, I mean those that know they're Israelites, or just Israelites that don't know they're Israelites. But imagine the most wicked thing you've seen, and imagine the perspective of the Lord, where he sees that on a large scale, literally millions, billions of these heinous iniquities being committed all at once, all in different parts of the world. And now you understand why, or you get some sense of why the Lord has the judgments written in the scriptures to come upon this place. So I'm going to start off here with the book of Mark, chapter 8, because truly did the Lord term this generation a wicked and adulterous generation, right? This is Mark chapter 8, verse 38, and it reads, "Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation." Guess what? That adulterous and sinful generation is back here again today. And they weren't the only generation that was adulterous and sinful, but the Lord did, when he said adulterous and sinful, it wasn't just because that was the only word that he could think of, so he used it at the time. Now, of course, you have adultery in the spiritual sense, which is idolatry, but you also have the literal adultery. "Of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed when he cometh in the glory of his Father with the holy angels." Now, when I was watching this video, it was done by biblical defenders, and he mentioned something very key in here, right, in the video, because he said the crazy thing about it, if I remember correctly, is that if this situation, this adulterous case, if it happened to be that they didn't get caught and somehow they were able to leave whoever they were with and get together with each other, there's a high chance that that relationship would not last. And the reason being, in some of these cases, it's not as much about the person as it is about the thrill from the act, meaning that sensation they get from knowing they're not supposed to be doing that and yet doing that. It's like it goes along with the saying of, you want what you can't have. When you realize that you can't have something, it makes you want it even more, so temptation is more heightened. Right. So basically the thrill of adultery, the actual that situation that they're in is what really drives them more. And when he said that, it made all the sense in the world, but it was also sad, right? Because it's like, damn, you have you have Israelites that literally commit adultery for the very act itself. It's not like, oh, I really, really wanted this woman, but she got a man and I wasn't even, no. It's like that, and it shows you that it's a demon. Just like people that are addicted to wickedness, right? In whatever shape or form it takes, there's a spirit, there's an energy on them that gets excited when they're doing these things. And that's why it's very important to have that self-control and discipline. But there are a lot of mitigation measures that you can take. And the reason being, and I've said this many times, the flesh knows no bounds. Okay, our bodies, our bodies that we're in right now, we're not designed to know righteousness. That's why you have to subject your body under your spirit. It's your spirit that's supposed to be in the driver's seat that says no. Because if you leave it up to your flesh, which I'm actually going to go get a quick precept on that, Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? And the heart meaning your mind, your thoughts, your imaginations, your desires. So those desires need to be filtered by the spirit. They need to be filtered by wisdom, proper wisdom. If not, you can actually psych yourself out into justifying wickedness. Your body, your flesh knows desire. Okay, it knows what it wants, whether that's righteous or not, doesn't really care. If it feels good, perfect. If it tastes good, amazing. Right? If it feels bad, I don't want it. Why do you think that resisting temptation is difficult? Because to your flesh, it doesn't feel good. You have to actually discipline. A lot of people are not able to be disciplined because it doesn't feel good. So the flesh is reluctant. It doesn't want to do it because it doesn't feel good. But letting go, giving in, that's one of the easiest things to do. Because it doesn't, your flesh is like, hell yeah, I'm down with this. So that's why your spirit is what needs to be in control. But like I mentioned about mitigation, if you understand how the flesh works, listen, no matter what you do, temptation is temptation. We're all in the flesh. The flesh is designed that way. So temptation is temptation. It's like it's expected, right? You if you go near fire, you'll start to feel the heat. So in this case, knowing that, say, what one example might be, you might have been an addict, you might have been addicted to smoking or drinking or something like that, and you're getting it under control. You know that if you go into certain settings where there's a whole bunch of alcohol and all that, if even one sip touches your lip, that might be it for you. What do you do in that situation? you know what? Let me refrain. Let me stay away from these situations, because why put yourself in a position where you know that you can be tempted? Why put yourself in that position? And why am I saying that? Because it is human nature. It is human nature when it comes to a man and a woman, that a man sees a woman, she looks good. If you strip away laws, you strip away morals, you strip away all of that, and you go down to the bare bones, and it comes down to just chemical reactions, natural primitive behavior. A man sees a woman that looks good, whatever the case is, he gets excited. Blood flow starts rushing to different parts of the body. You know how it goes. And likewise, vice versa. And that's the flesh. That's just the reaction. Which is why you may see a chick, for example, from a man's perspective, you may see a chick like, damn, who that? You know, or shit. That's the initial reaction, because that is the natural reaction. That's how the flesh is designed to react. But then that's when the spirit kicks in, and it's like, no, you gotta control yourself. Lower that gaze. You gotta control yourself, because she could be married. She could have a man. And if you want to deal with that, you got to go and find out first. That part is not is not initiated by your flesh. That part is initiated by your spirit, by wisdom. That's the part that tells you, hold on, before you go getting all excited and shit, starting the engine and before all that, calm down and find out first, is this right or not? So if you understand how human nature works, what do you think would happen if you have these super large congregations where you have this brother here and his wife is here, and then this man here and his wife is here, and everybody's all getting acquainted with each other and all of that? What what part of the ministry requires that? The Lord told us, let me actually switch. The Lord told us to eat this roll and go and teach. The extraness is what it gives these demons leverage to come up in there and to start, doing what they do. And then you see a perfect example of things that can happen because of that. Listen, there's something called hypergamy. Women, that's it. Once again, a man sees a woman, she looks good, cool. There's other things that are similar in that instance that work in the reverse. A woman sees a group of guys, her eyes on who's the leader, who's the guy that's like, who looks like he's in control. And whether it's conscious or not, or subconscious, it's still there. See, so when you start to introduce this setting of people becoming familiar with each other, right? You have examples where if somebody becomes too familiar with you, assume maybe you are an elder or somebody who's in a higher position, and somebody that is not in that same position becomes too familiar with you, meaning you're too friendly with them, which is why the scriptures tell you, in roughly paraphrasing, you're not supposed to be buddy and best friends with your children. They're supposed to respect and fear you. They're not supposed to be your best friend, because that introduces too much familiarity, and that's where disrespect and all of that starts to seep in. Well, guess what happens when a man and a woman become too familiar? They become too familiar, and then that barrier of what you're not supposed to do starts to become weaker and weaker and weaker, because you're becoming more. Look, when you can read 1,001 books that tell you how to pick up a chick, how to get with a girl, how to do all this. At the end of the day, the main core of it is really communication, familiarity. You become comfortable around her, she becomes comfortable around you, then it's a different ballgame. What do you think happens in cases like this with all this extra intermingling? The lustful eyes come out, the comfortability comes in, the familiarity sets in, and then not everybody has self-control. So guess what? Just like you would watch on Animal Planet, you would see the lions scope out which is the weakest link inside of this herd of gazelles or zebras or whatnot and go after it. That's what them demons do. Ah, would you look at that? A field full of food. It's open season. We finna eat. So let's find out in this area over here, who can we target the most over here? And then guess what? They find somebody and then they start getting to work. And before you know it, you end up with situations like this. Anyway, where was I? Let me go back. Let's get this here. I don't have many precepts. This isn't, I don't plan to make this a long lesson, but just to at least get the point across, man. This is just ridiculous. And it's even more ridiculous because of all different settings, you like this you knowing you're an Israelite, knowing what the scriptures say, and it's very, very ironic. The law, the law, the law. What happened to the law here? Now, I mean, when you watch the video, you'll see that over here, Bishop Nate and the rest, basically the rest of the congregation, put them on blast, right? But even if you deal with these two particular individuals here, what happened to the law? What happened to the fear of the Lord? What happened to all of that? Anyway, this is the book of Galatians chapter 5, verse 19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these. Hear that? The works of the flesh. The works of the flesh. Adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, and then it goes on and so forth. But as you can see right there, adultery. Adultery is one of these demons' most prized weapons in their arsenal. They love to do it because it's one of the most easiest things, or one of the easiest ways to get somebody. Because a lot of people fall prey to women. Hey, take a look at it's really an interesting balance. And I say that because the Lord designed women to be the weaker vessel, right? And so if it comes to physical or whatever, they're not on the same level as a man. And yet, the Lord also had a balance to where this weaker vessel is able to, even through her weakness, bring down this man that's supposed to be so strong and yada yada. Look at Adam and Eve. Look at David and Bathsheba. Look at King Solomon and his wives that got him to go off. Ahab and Jezebel. Samson and Delilah. Samson has super strength. The dude literally was slaying thousands of Philistines like light work. And his downfall wasn't by some super strong Philistine, but by a woman, the weaker vessel. Right? So how is that? See, that's why I said it's an interesting balance, right? The Lord designed it that way to where they just have a way, and he set it up to where a lot of the kryptonite of men really comes from women. I mean, that's the way he set it up. So knowing these things, you gotta guard yourself. You gotta prioritize, man. You gotta set your mind right. And in all fairness, too, in Babylon, the average mind is literally trained to be over sexualized. That's just a plain fact. In Babylon, it's actually a targeted thing that they constantly push into your brain, sexualization of everything. So that majority of people's brain power is spent on that, whether it's via scrolling through social media and you notice how the algorithms work, right? They see, you don't even have to like a video. You don't need to comment. You don't need, if you spend more than X amount of time as you're scrolling through, you stop and that video starts to play for even 2 seconds. Guess what? The algorithm says, oh, recommend more of these. Next thing you know, you come back and now 10 of these videos are on your timeline. Now 20, then 30. Well, where the hell did they come from? And sadly, you're not gonna click don't recommend anymore. They know you ain't. And before you know it, your brain is being rewired because seeing these things and you know the Babylon promotes a society where people don't really have that drive to accomplish things. You know, like, oh, I'm seriously focused on something, whatever is a craft or a goal or whatever it is that I have to put in serious discipline and hard work to get this done. So that's my main focus. Most people don't have that. Because of that, they have a lot of extra free time. And guess what? Guess who comes in to fill up that extra free time? And guess what he comes to fill it up with? Vanity, vanity, and more vanity. So what is everybody on TikTok and Instagram Reels and yada yada? And what are they doing? Stupid TikTok dances. Like you look at the productivity level of people today, and you're like, what the hell happened to this place? And that's why they're developing them AI robots to come and take your job because they're like, man, shit, these niggas can't do shit. A basic ass job, they can't even do it right. You wondering, bro, you had one job, stand there and hold up a sign that says stop and slow and just keep turning it back and forth. How do you mess that up? But hey, this is Babylon, man. This is Babylon. So when you're living in an overly sexualized society, it's very, very easy for situations like this to arise. But knowing much better, right? That's where discipline comes in. Avoid these situations from the higher up on down. And you have people that'll come and ask, "Oh, yo, why don't y'all got a school? Or where's this at? But now you see examples as to why. You see why, for example, the apostles always say what they say. And I hear it so much that I can literally even hear Apostle Tahar's voice in my head right now. Like when he says, I don't want to see a woman. Don't bring your woman around. Don't come asking that we're not here for that. And you understand why. Because we can do our jobs well more than effectively without the need for all of that. But when you veer off the script, you have situations like this. And guess what? It doesn't just fall on the people who did it. It doesn't just fall on the people who did it because the Lord set up, when you read the scriptures, right, it tells you about how the Lord has people in different positions, right? You have different overseers and bishops and all of these things, right? Now, part of your job as watching over the flock is not just watching so when something happens, you then call it out, but what are you doing to ensure that these kinds of things don't happen? So, I mean, somebody's going to face the Lord's wrath. We hoping it ain't us. We're doing our best to please the Lord, but this is just one that seeped through the cracks. Sadly, and as unfortunate as it may be to say it, this is just one that seeped through the cracks. I'm pretty sure there are tons of cases where somebody is one way on camera, somebody's one way around the congregation, behind the scenes, and it may not be with people in the same congregation or in the truth. It may not be an exact situation like this. But you'd be surprised to find out that you may have certain individuals that'll come on camera and preach and say, hey, that this is wicked. They're going to be put to death. And they're committing adultery in the world. Left and right, like it's all good. And remember, like we read in Jeremiah 17, right? The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Let me give you an example. I'll give you a nice made up scenario. Imagine this guy sees a chick and he's like, damn, she fine. And maybe he doesn't have immediate intentions of wanting to do anything with her. But by chance, whatever it is, wherever the setting is, they just happen to meet. And so they, they talk, whatever, cool. Over time, they keep talking, whatever, cool. They become, friendly and so on and so forth. Yeah. They become friendly and so on and so forth, right? And in this guy's mind, because he's like, I'm not actively pursuing that, it is what it is. He doesn't even bother to find out is she single or not. And guess what? As time goes on and they become more familiar and they start to like, yo, I kind of like this guy. Oh, yeah, this girl's kind of chill and whatnot. If she has a man, she's less likely to tell you about it now because she wants to find out what you about. But this guy's mind deceives him because he eventually starts to like this girl, and then he might actually not want to ask because a part of him says, what if she does have a man? And he doesn't want to find that out because now his conscience is going to eat him alive saying, you know better. So in this scenario, he doesn't ask. And guess what? It keeps on going and going. And the deceptiveness of the heart, of the mind, reinforces his actions not to ask. Why? Because now he says, ain't no way she would be acting this way towards me if she got a man. She would have let me know at some point. So she definitely ain't got a man. I don't even need to ask. Oh, yeah? So lo and behold, now, like I said, I'm making this up as I go, right? But the point is, things start to escalate. And the more it escalates, in her mind, she knows she ain't supposed to be doing this, but there's that thriller demon that's hopping in there, like, yo, this guy, man, shit, because whenever you meet somebody new, there's that getting to know them, the butterflies in your stomach, puppy love, whatever they call that, honeymoon phase, all that extra stuff. And they don't have that anymore. She's not getting that anymore with her man she's with. So now she's trying to experience that here. And maybe he's not fortunate enough. Situations escalate and it turns into something else. Now you done committed adultery. And the whole entire time, maybe you find out. Maybe she tells you, maybe she doesn't. Maybe you just happen to find out, whatever the case is. And now you're like, oh shit. Maybe the first thing you should have done was asked her, found out. But the thing about the flesh is, as like I said, primitive as it is, in the sense of, oh, this feels good, this doesn't. I want to do this, I don't want to do that. It always has a funny way of justifying what it wants. How do you think people end up committing cannibalism? You think people just get up and say, damn, that little 12-year-old, or shit, that little 3-year-old boy looks like it'd be delicious if I put him on a grill and put some sazon and stuff on him. People don't think that way. I mean, if you do, that's a very serious case. You got to get checked out. So how then do individuals go, damn, oh my gosh, that's your son? Oh my God, yo, he's so cute. Oh my, to put that kid in a pot, seethe him up, and let's eat. How do you go from point A to point B? Maybe some time goes on, you don't have food, you get more and more hungry, get more and more hungry, you get more and more hungry, you start to lose your sense of reasoning. And then what happens? All of a sudden, meat is meat. I need to survive. Food is food. It probably don't taste that bad. Let's find out. See how the the flesh starts to justify these things, because in its mind it's like, I need to survive. I need to eat. Like, I need this. And before you know it, oh, that's your son. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. How do you think when you read the scriptures, it talks about mothers that ended up eating their children? Where do you think that came from? Do you know that when a mother gives birth, there are actual chemicals that are released that bond the mother to the child? And that's throughout life, period. Look at how a chicken, a cat, a dog, a lion, look at a bear, look at how they are around their cubs or around their children. You try taking, you go let a chicken, right, have its chicks with it. And you try go and mess around over there. You'll find out just how dangerous that chicken you be cooking up. You'll find out just how dangerous it is when you losing an eyeball. Because what they'll do is they'll turn around and they don't care if you there to say hello, hi, hey. The second they see you get to a certain perimeter, and they start to flare their wings, they start to run towards you, and next thing you know, they're jumping up. And you wonder, what's he going to do? Scratch me? He's going to use his beak. And if you're unfortunate, you might lose an eye. And next thing you know, shit, now you got a phobia of chickens because you didn't know they could be that dangerous. But the point is, it's that motherly instinct to protect their young. So how then does a mother go from that to that same one that they would risk their life to protect? They're now trying to eat that child. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? And this is why the Lord blesses us with the Spirit. the Holy Spirit to guide us. So it's this constant war, like the Apostle Paul said, right? It is not I that sinneth, this, but sin that dwells in me, and the thing that I would, I do not, and that which I would not do, that I do, right? So the things he doesn't want to do ends up doing, but because you're in the flesh, it's a constant war. These are all things that we all know. We all read these scriptures. We all know these things. So why create an environment where, knowing how deceitful and desperate the heart can be, situations like this arise? Anyway, let me finish it off here. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, verse 32. And it reads, "But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding, but he that doeth it destroyeth his own soul." And that's the thing right there, man. The scriptures talk about counting the cost. You got to think about it. We all know what it feels like when you're in heat. Even the Apostle Paul talks about it, right? So we all know what it's like when you're in heat. You got your second brain is thinking now, right? But at the end of the day, it's the same process. It's the same process. You backed up, you're in heat, you find what shorty, okay, and then afterwards, what do they call that? Post nut clarity. So it's the same process. Why take the route that actually ends up being a sin onto death? There are a lot. You have a wife. That's one thing. But there are a lot of women out there that are not married and they look good. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're hungry, we know how hunger works. You get hungry, there's some food, the food looks good or it tastes good, it makes you want to eat it. You eat it and then you're full. End of story. So if you're gonna get full one way or another, why eat the poison when you can just eat the regular food? But you know why? Because there's something about the poison. There's just something about it that's just like extra attractive. And you know what that thing is? The temptation from them demons. Because in actuality, it shouldn't be attractive. It's poison. The end result is, okay, you full, but you full of poison. You about to die, right? And yet, what makes that more enticing than the non-poisonous one? So what I mean is, what's so enticing about dealing with a woman that's already married? She's a woman. A single woman is also a woman. You get the same thing from both of them, except with one of them, you've now committed a sin unto death, and the Lord is going to pay you a visit. And it's much worse because now that you're full, now you're thinking clearly. Now you're like, what were you thinking? But maybe that's not what you were like, since this was a continuous thing. So as we're reading here in Proverbs, it says, "Whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding." You, especially as the man, you know the woman is a weaker vessel. The scriptures tell you of the woman. The woman is the beginning of sin. Of the woman came sin, roughly paraphrasing, and through her we all die. So, as a man, you cannot try. You can't expect that she's the one who's gonna come and say, "Hey, we shouldn't be doing this." And next one, no, women are designed to follow your lead. You're the one who needs to say, "Hey, what the hold up?" First off, you shouldn't even let it get to that point. Quite frankly, it's. I mean, me personally, I'm uncomfortable around. I don't want to be around other men's wives. It's just weird. I don't. It's like, if I'm there, everybody better be there. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to. No, you stay here, and I'm gonna be. I don't want to stay here. Let's go. You going to the store? Let's both go to the store, right? I came here because of you, not your wife. So why are you going to the store and I got to stay? No. That it's weird, right? So it's awkward. So if in those cases, like I said, you breed a situation where you eliminate that awkwardness and people become comfortable around other men's wives. Guess what? It's going to happen. You go around fire, you're going to get burnt. I think there's a scripture that says that, right? Who shall pity a charmer that is, bitten by a snake, right? So that's what's going to happen regardless, But the Lord is showing more and more lifting up the skirt, bringing out all those secret things. And you know what comes after that? The judgment. And at that point, man, I mean, they ain't no way around it. So it's definitely, adultery is not a laughing matter at all. It's not a joke. And Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai does not take that lightly at all. So judgment is coming. I mean, look at the face. Anyway, judgment is coming, man. Judgment is coming. And it's going to be anything but merciful. So I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rachak, Wadash. And until next time, Shalom.